Okay, well, I kind of had this similar mistake. I wanted to reach out to the Community Living Association of Moncton, and I thought they were the people that contact me on the phone every once in a while and ask me if I have anything to donate, and I put it in a box, and I put the letter L, and I put it at the curb, and they come, they pick it up. That's not who we have here, but we have a group that still does great, absolutely great work in the community. It's the Greater Moncton Area Community Living, or Association for Community Living. Thank you for coming in. Connie Melanson is the executive director, and Bhreagh McCumber is an event coordinator for one of their fundraisers that is coming on later on in the month of August. We'll chat about that in a minute. So again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. So people make this mistake. We were talking about this earlier. They kind of get a little bit confused about which one is which.
Yes. We're the local association. We serve individuals with intellectual disabilities from birth to seniors in Westmoreland, Albert, and Kent. So that's the local area. The other group is a provincial group, and so that's the difference.
There you go. There you go. Now, that's a really large kind of population that you're having to deal with. That's a huge area that you're covering.
Yes. The most recent stats we have, which are fairly old because of the long census not being as current as it used to be, suggests anywhere from 3 to 7% of the population would have individuals with intellectual disabilities, and that's Canadian statistics. New Brunswick has the second highest rate in Canada, and the area we serve is one of the largest areas in New Brunswick and through there, and so our percentage is probably closer to the 7 than the 3.
How many families would you say?
We currently serve approximately 400 individuals and their families.
Wow, wow. So let's dive into it. Your association, exactly what is it that you do? What is it that you're offering to these individuals and these families?
Our primary role is to advocate for the rights of individuals who are identified as having an intellectual disability, and we support them in every aspect of their life, whether it's health or education or employment or relationships, community involvement. So it's a large gamut, and it's a large population. Kind of difficult to say in a snippet on the phone when you answer and say who you are. So.
Well, I can imagine, because that seems to entail so many different things. I mean, we're talking about such a wide spectrum of what a person can kind of deal with within their life, and you follow them through most of their lives. Is that right?
From birth to seniors.
There you go. That is incredible. What are we talking about when you say intellectual disabilities? What exactly are we talking about here?
Certainly, it involves a number of labels that individuals may have. So, and there's quite a long label. But if the individual is significantly involved, that they need support in a number of areas of their life, be that social or cognitive, then and that's long term. It's not a short term matter, then we primarily do that. So people with significant learning disabilities, people who would have the more well-known labels of Down syndrome, Williams syndrome, autism, all of those would fit into the people that we would serve.
Again, kind of a large spectrum.
Yes, we tend not to turn people away if we are not able to directly support them, because our association, as I am the primary staff of the association, and we're a staff of 1. And so I have a volunteer board that I report to. We do have 2 grant positions, an individual who supports pre-employment for adults, so that's 19 and up, and we also have an adult literacy program for many of the individuals who wouldn't have benefited from having received that kind of training through our previous non-inclusive education system, and that's a grant position that is only seasonal. So other than that, everything outside of those 2 areas would be my responsibility.
That is ridiculous. Can I say that?
Yeah, you certainly can.
Can I say it? I'll say it.
You can say it.
That is ridiculous.
It's a big mandate.
That is a very large mandate for one staff person to kind of cover.
We have a small board of 11 volunteers, primarily individuals whose families we serve, but we do have some business individuals and some community individuals who now sit on our board. But it is a struggle. It is a struggle because the families that we serve certainly are overwhelmed in their own situations, so asking them to take on other things is difficult, especially during the periods of time when they are. And certainly their entire lives aren't always in crises, but oftentimes families are in crises, which is what we end up dealing with, is crisis management, as opposed to being able to be more proactive and try to make those things happen that could prevent some of those crises.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, it's a massive challenge, I think, for families to take on that, to realize that this is the situation that they have to deal with.
I think the societal barriers are what create the most of the challenges. I mean, when you look at some of the stats and you look at 80 to 85% of adults with an intellectual disability are either or underemployed, and that certainly fits well with the stat that certainly suggests 70% of these individuals live in poverty, and many of those below $800 a month. So, those, it's not because individuals can't work, it's because we haven't quite figured out that they can, and how we can support them to do something meaningful in their lives and get real pay for doing that.
So it's still a fairly big number of the population.
Yes.
And obviously there are a lot of different groups that try to help out different people that have different disabilities and whatnot, different problems and challenges. It's surprising that this isn't. I don't know. I'm trying to find the political correctness to get around this, but it's surprising to see that there's not more paid attention to this group of people.
This is one of the more vulnerable members of our communities, and we tend to value certain things, and a lot of the attributes that we value tend not to be as obvious in this population. So people make a lot of assumptions about individuals who can't speak, whether or not they're very intelligent. And having an intellectual disability is not necessarily a comment on how intelligent they are. It's more a comment on how they learn and how much support they may need to express what they've learned and how they can make a contribution. So it's about getting to know an individual as opposed to knowing a group of people. So.
No, absolutely, and I think there's more. There's research done on this, and where you learn more about how some of these people with intellectual disabilities, with like a speaking disorder, you realize that they're wildly intelligent. They just don't have the mechanism to express themselves the way that a normal person can. And
there's this greater range of ability in this group of individuals as there are in our general population. So not everybody in this population is highly skilled in everything, but again, that's the same for our general population. They do take longer to learn things. It may be more difficult for them to learn those things, and they may need different kinds of supports to do that. So inclusive communities, which is our focus, how do we create welcoming, supportive communities that include all of their members, is about figuring out how we do that and how we can do that. It takes some thought. It takes some time to think about doing things differently, but just as when we put in curb cuts to help what we thought was people with mobility challenges, we also help parents who had carriages, and we help seniors who used walkers. And so when we have an inclusive community, we make it better for everybody. And so that is what we try to encourage our communities to do.
That is the goal. That is your goal. I don't want to leave Bhreagh out of the conversation. I know it's such a interesting thing. Great stuff that you guys do in the community. A lot of your fundraisers, a lot of your funds come from the fundraisers that you do, and there's one coming up. This is called Band Together. It's the August 18th at the Old Triangle. So tell us a little bit about this.
Well, we have one band that is an inclusive band, so it has some individuals that we serve throughout the year, and that's called Stellar Avenue. And then there's some acts from Moncton, and there's one from Sackville, which is my hometown, so we're trying to incorporate all of these surrounding towns and cities. But it ranges from rock music and folk music, and One of them is actually jazz, which should be interesting.
There you go.
Yeah.
A little bit everywhere, a little bit of spectrum there for, a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's August 18th, and again, this is acts as one of your summer fundraiser. Anyways, it's one of your major fundraisers happening at the Old Triangle.
Yeah.
So that should be a really good time.
Great time.
And I know that you guys do a lot of fundraisers. One of the ones you do around Christmas time as well, with the Christmas trees out.
Trees for a Brighter Future.
Yes.
That comes up in November, the 17th. It's Friday evening. So we look for businesses to sponsor the decorating of some beautiful trees, and then we auction those trees off live. And there are other auction items in silent auctions, but this is a live auction for the trees. It's one of our primary fundraisers, so we certainly depend on it to be able to continue in the community.
And I imagine that for people that are watching this and thinking, my goodness, this is something I want to help out, they can get a hold of you through websites and searching for Facebook.
They certainly can, yes, and our phone number is 857-8899, and they can certainly call us there at any time, almost any time.
Leave a message if there's no answer. They're very busy. Listen, there's a little bit less than a minute left. I want to thank you so much for coming in. I imagine it's things like Band Together, especially when we talk about the trees, for companies that want to come in. This would be a great event for companies as well, to go in and buy some tickets and just have a night out for the staff, and it all goes for a good cause.
I mean, people enjoy it. The Old Triangle is where we was hosting us last year and again this year, and we get great feedback. People have a really nice evening, and the music is really wonderful. So
For sure. A lot of good acts on there, actually. I was looking at that, some really great bands. Listen, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for your
Really
time.
appreciate it. You do great stuff around the community, so keep it up.